and compliance, CCC. I believe CCC is still a church in Ghana. No? It's still, right? Yes, okay. So, yes, conventions, contracts, and compliance. And in this module here, we are going to be discussing three very important areas that comes into mind when we're talking of international trade. Conventions, where we are talking about how you secure your shipments. I believe a lady somewhere in the middle asked about if there's damage to your shipments in transit, who's responsible. So we're going to talk about how you secure your shipment in that sense. We're going to talk about some of the basic shipping contracts, right? Some of you may be experts in it already, or you may be familiar. Others, you may be new, so we'll go into the basics of it. And then compliance, compliance in itself, you're talking about areas of, we're going to touch slightly on bribery and corruption. We're going to touch slightly about intellectual property and so on like that, yeah? So again, this is a 3-session module. We've already done introductions. You know who we are, so I'm not going to go into that element there. But then what we are going to start off with straight away would be conventions. We're going to go into contracts. We're going to be going to compliance. And then we can wrap it up. Cool? At the end of this session, again, 3 objectives. For whatever reason, I like 3, the number 3. But there's always 3 objectives. So the first objective here is for you to be able to, at the end of this module, to be able to describe international conventions currently that are in play and how they would impact your business as it grows and expands across the world, right? Beyond that, we also want you to be able to differentiate between the different transportation contracts, as well as then explain how compliance is important and a crucial aspect when you're running an international business, also ensuring that your business remains sustainable. Sustainable here, we are not just talking about ESG, but then there's also that element, we know the environmental, social, and governance side, but then you're a business, you're not a charity, to the best of my knowledge, you are all businesses here. So you want to ensure you remain a going concern. You keep making money now and into the future, right? So that is the end goal of this session. Cool? So we're going to start with conventions. And I think I have a movie for you here. Do I? No, I don't. However, I'm going to start by talking about some of these pictures here. These pictures are not generated by AI. These are actual real incidents. I look at some of these pictures and I have memories of the containers that we had there. Recently, you'd see some of this, you may have heard of, before the conflict in the Middle East happening now, there was the issue that happened in the Suez Canal, the Evergreen shipping container, huge, one of the largest in the world, got stuck in the Suez Canal and no ship could go past. Because the Suez Canal is, let's say it's this big. It's this big from here to here, and the ship is this big and it's blocked the entire canal. About 70% of global shipping goes through that canal. I think all the ships in the world pass that side, about 70%, and that is blocked. So all of a sudden, I don't know if anyone had shipments at that time, but you saw shipping prices went through the roof, right? But now this is things that, say again? It's still at the roof. Well, you want to guess why it's still at the roof? Something has happened in that region again. Yeah? Conflicts. So the Red Sea is now kind of like a danger zone. Shipping lines don't want to go there because they'll be fired upon, right? The last time that happened again, before the Evergreen incident during the pandemic, where at this point it wasn't because of the Suez Canal, but simply because everything had shut down, especially the ports in the United States and especially China, right? And everybody pays for it in one way or the other. These are incidents that, for a small business, again, could ground it by no fault of yours. We call it an act of God or a force majeure, right? And there's nothing you could do about it. There's nothing I could do about it from a logistics service provider standpoint. There's nothing your customer could have done about it. It happened. Now we've got to move and we've got to find a way. Now, maybe I'd want to start by seeing if there's any experience that maybe some of you have experienced something like this. Um, I'd like to hear that how that was like, um, what you went through, and if you were even able to deal with it. Maybe I'll just take maybe one or two stories here, and then yeah, anyone? Come on, guys. No, no takers. Okay, maybe I'll share another experience here. In terms of um, shipments that were damaged. Actually, I'll share one that I happened not long ago, last week in India. And I found that out in my meeting this morning. Where a shipment, carpets are expensive. So when you talk about carpets like rugs, there are those that the Persian ones, the ones that are coming from certain parts of northern India and so on. They're quite expensive, right? They don't come cheap. There was a container, 20-foot container full of carpets going from India to the US. For reasons I'll not mention the commercial value, but then it was significantly high. And it caught fire. Yeah. Customers like, bruh, I need my money back. Right? That's just from the shipper side. Consumers like, no way, Jose, am I paying for this? You've burnt this really high value product. So what are we going to do about it? You recall earlier, Morris? Yes. Morris mentioned elements about marine insurance. In DHL, we call it shipment value protection. But then there are certain things that kick in place in events like this, right? Um, Customers are able to claim for the value of the product that they were able to get that was damaged and everything, and a second batch was sent. The business didn't go down under. They did not lose the customer in the US, and things went on. It was a freak of nature, it was an act of God, as we'd call it, right? Now, that being said, there are certain things that come into play that covers these things. This may sound a little bit more, it's almost legal, almost insurance, but then it's good for you as an international shipper to understand these concepts. The Warsaw Convention, the Montreal Convention. Now, these are conventions that are put in place in the event that an incident occurs above and beyond or out of the control of any one party, right? Whether the shipper or the consigner or the consignee or the receiver or the logistics service provider, anyone in that logistics chain. Now, this could be related to damages. This could be related to negligence. It could be related to, again, fill delivery or even late deliveries, because for some products, a late delivery can actually bring an entire facility to a standstill. Let's take, for example, you're exporting to Cargill in the UK, and Cargill needs X tons of cocoa or coffee or chocolate or whichever for some products that they are making, and that shipment never gets there in time. There's a knock-on effect because now they've never got the products that they needed it to make on time, and they've lost customers in the marketplace, right? So that's when things like the Warsaw Convention or the Montreal Convention comes into play. Now, the first one that was created was the Warsaw Convention back in 1929. And then the Montreal Convention was later introduced and refined on top of the Warsaw Convention. In both instances, these apply largely to ocean freight, but in some instances also to air freight, right? There are a couple of things you do need to know, is that this is jurisdiction dependent. And whilst Montreal was introduced after the Warsaw, meaning building upon the Warsaw Convention, there are certain areas where they'll refer still to the Warsaw Convention. Okay? Now let's take a look at a couple of things. For one, the Montreal Convention imposes a liability on the air cargo carriers for either the destruction, loss, or failed delivery for shipments, for international flights of shipments. So the shipment, let's say, is leaving Kotoka, GHACC, going to Johannesburg, GNB, and something happens. The cargo is damaged or it's lost, was never delivered in that sense, and you didn't take shipment value protection or marine insurance. Different logistics service providers have different names for this, right? In DHL, we call it shipment value protection. FedEx may call it something else. UPS may have a different name, all that kind of stuff. But then, if you didn't take that, then the air carrier liability kicks in, stating that for whatever loss or damage took place, it's going to be limited to 22 SDR, or special drawing rights. Anyone heard of these before? SDR? All right, so SDR, special drawing rights, is a currency used in international trade. It can be converted to the US dollar, it can be converted to the Ghanaian cedi, it can be converted to the Great British pound, the euro, etc. Right? Anyone wants to quickly Google the current, what 22 SDR would be for me? Just Google it. 22 SDR to USD. Let's see who gets it first. 29.32 USD, right? So let's run it up to just say $30, which means that for whatever loss or damage, this is covered up and per kilo. So if your shipment was worth, let's say, $10,000, right, or in whatever equivalence, and it was 100 kilos, and all of that was not delivered, or part of it was not delivered. The weights, they'll include the value of it, and then to some extent, they may even remove the freight value, because the freight value was whatever cost that, say, for example, the logistics service provider has incurred already, but then because it wasn't delivered for whatever reason, they may even take that value out, and then apply the 22 SDR kilo of whatever's left. Now, what that means is that it's going to be, if your shipment was $100, $10,000, and then it's weighed around 100 kilos, they'll do the adjustments there and only pay you up to the 22 SDR per kilo of that, for that shipment. If the shipment value is lower, they'll pay you less, to pay the lower value, not up to the 22 SDR, right? So it's important then that to be aware of this, if you need to take a look at what's the commercial value of the shipment, and is it going to be less per kilo than the 22 SDR? If it's going to be less, it is ideal that you take additional marine insurance, right? That way, then, by taking that marine insurance, it means you do pay that insurance premium on top of it, on top of the shipments, whatever freight charge you'd have paid. But then know that in that sense, you're covered for the full value of the shipments should something happen to it or any losses incurred because of some extra whatever event, right? Let me just cross-check. In this section here, do you have any questions, especially in this area here? Yes. You want to take a mic? If you could just pass it back. Thank you. Okay, this one at the back. Thanks.
I didn't quite get the calculations. I lost it.
Okay, not a problem. So, 22 SDR is equal to $30 US, right? If your shipment was worth, it's 1 kilo, and the weight of the shipment is, the shipment is 1 kilo in weight. The value of the shipment is $100, right? And you shipped it from Ghana to Johannesburg. The shipment never arrived. It got lost in transit, something like that. You didn't take any additional insurance, marine insurance. What the airline will pay you is going to be 22 SDR. They'll pay you $30, not the $100 that you said your shipment is worth. The conventions. It's made to cover liability for the transporter, for the carrier, right? So to prevent that from happening, you'd need to ideally take additional marine insurance. Then they will pay you for the full commercial value of your product. And that's why, remember in the first session, we mentioned about ensuring standardization of certain things. Is your product, the value of it, you said it's 25 kilos, 25 kilos. The value of 25 kilos of this product is $50, same thing, consistency. Because best believe the insurance company of the air carrier or the shipping carrier, whoever, they will come in here. So you're now doing lawyer to lawyer kind of thing. And whatever the case, it wanted to be capped at 22 SDR, unless there's that additional insurance cover. I hope that helps. Yeah. So, yeah. Cool. Awesome. So that being, sorry, does it answer your question also? Perfect. Yes.
I think I heard you say something that if your product is less than the 22 SDR, they pay you something less, something like that.
So
Could you say that again?
so if the product is less than a 22 SDR, if the value, so same scenario, the product is 1 kilo in weight, it is $25, right? And it's Accra to Johannesburg, it never arrived. They're going to give you, you said $25? They're going to pay you $25. It's less than. No. Sorry, that's my internet. Okay, we are back. Cool? Awesome. And keep in mind, it's worked on a per kilo basis. So that's why I'm using the 1 kilo example. All right, so that being said, the main thing, remember I mentioned that the Montreal was built off on top of the Warsaw Convention. The main difference here, the main adjustment here, was that they shifted um, who has the task or the burden of proving the point here. So it shifted from before you, the shipper, needed to prove that I gave the shipment to Max Airline, right? Or I gave the shipments to Max Shipping Line. And then it never went through, it was never delivered, da 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 da. I need to go ahead and prove that. The adjustment here was now that now the defendants to prove that they were not negligent. The defendant in this case is being the airline or the shipping line, that they were not negligent. So it means that 1 kilo going to Johannesburg, the plane took off and it was struck by lightning. They had to do an emergency landing, da 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 da, it was damaged. Case closed. It's not their fault, they can't do anything. Such is life. That is why you need your insurance. Yeah?
Okay, so I wanted to find out something like that.
Yeah.
The insurance thing, is it something you have to opt for, or let's say for DHL, it's already part of the package? Like if I'm coming to ship with DHL, because I remember I was just talking to him that I remember there was a time I had a phone, and then 2 months when iPhone 7, I had it 2 months. Something happened to the board, so I had to send it back to Apple. I go to DHL and I was asked to like the value of the thing, and I'm like, I don't know, it was a gift, but then we have to give it a value. So my question is, with DHL or with other insurance companies or freight companies, do we have to opt for it, or it's already part of the package? So I know that, okay, if I'm shipping with DHL, I'm covered with this insurance thing.
So it's usually opted for, because if you don't opt for it, the price would be higher, and we don't give you a fair playing, we don't give you a fair view as to what is being offered, right? The usually things like SVP, and please correct me from Express standpoint, but from my history is in global forwarding, so freight forwarding, so it's a lot larger, higher value, high value elements, things that are $500,000, $1 million, $2 million. Usually by default, we apply it, right? I think it starts from $200,000 or something. But then there are certain areas where if you want to make sure that you are covered absolutely, you can request for it, and it will just be a slight increase. It's not that much really. But then there's a thing about returns, so that's where now really I'd rather have to come back to you in terms of giving clear definition here. In returns of defective products. Because if it's a return of defective product now, the commercial value in itself does not hold true like when it was being sent first time, right? And then there's also the element of gifts. I don't know if you want to comment on the side of gifts, but usually people like to zero rate their gifts. Like you mark it, but then during your customs declaration, you define the gifts. We're going to do an exercise in after lunch of looking at the commercial invoice and the do's and don'ts of a commercial invoice, because that can put you in some really hot waters. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So it's not my fault that if the plane went down by all means. Yes.
Please, I'm a little bit, I want to get something clear. My layman understanding, I know the vehicles conveying goods for us here, they are being insured. So anytime there's a problem, the owner of the vehicle goes to the insurance to compensate the one who they carry their goods or whatever that was in the car to cover that. But the airline, I don't know whether they go through the same or their own is different.
Their own is worse. Because the value of, more often than not, the person that loses the most is the owner of the vehicle. So in some areas you hear something called the NVOCC, non-vessel owning carrier company. A ship can cost you anywhere between, correct me if I don't know if Larry, if you're familiar, around 15 million dollars. Right? So if something goes south, like those pictures I showed you before, more often than not, the biggest loss is to the carrier. The carrier is a business, be a going concern. It needs to keep working. If it fails, the effect is even larger beyond, And so they have these insurance things in place. In trucking, for example, at some point, I don't know what it is in Ghana, Maurice, I don't know if you're familiar, but then in some areas, it is a minimum equivalent of 1.2, 1.3 million Ghana cedi for a 12-meter truck to carry cargo for us. I don't know what the equivalent in Ghana would be, the GIT, goods insurance. Ghana cedi. Okay. So, yeah, but then in some instances, especially running cross-border, it goes as a couple million that we've insured everything on, right? And that's why, to your point again, the value is extremely high. And keep in mind, again, this is freight I'm talking about. So this is usually higher value shipments I'm referring to. Think of your mine spare parts and stuff. Because if your spare parts going to a mine, for example, and the truck breaks down and the mine's in shutdown, I've personally had instances where the shutdown, not by our fault, but the shutdown cost $1 million a day. So now the time to bring it back online, from our side, we had 12 days breathing room, emergency service to deliver that. And then there was confusion at the borders, customs were, doing dilly-dallying, and then the truck breaks down right after crossing the border. So already just $1 million loss per day in this sense, right? So the carriers have done due diligence. The thing is, usually all of these things are reflected in the pricing, and they contribute to why certain people have a higher price than others. A lot of people don't necessarily do these things. Then you're going to want to talk about, but I'm covered under Montreal. Oh, yeah. Sorry, if you can pass them to the back.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay, so this whole convention thing settles on insurance if you want to be on a safer side. Now, my question is, you being an expert in that field, looking at air freight and the ocean freight, considering the risk factor, which one like will be very like costly to insure?
It's more, it's not on the mode of transport as it is the value of the shipments. So the value and the risk, so the value, it takes into account how highly profitable is the cargo, ease of use of the cargo. So, and I'll give an example just now, and then then the commercial value, right? If the shipment is already has a high commercial value by default, you must take insurance. Like, don't play with that. It is expensive. Your product's expensive. It's a premium. Treat it like it's a premium product. Your customers will pay for that. They expect that of you. Um, how highly pilferable is your cargo? Let's use phones, for example. Phones are highly pilferable, which means that I can't just give, if I'm shipping phones, I can't just simply give it to any Tom, Joe, or Harry, and they'll keep it somewhere, some warehouse somewhere and expect it's going to be safely kept. Nah, someone will see, oh, that's a phone over here. Take a box, right? You're going to be highly susceptible to theft. And then easily usable. So again, another example is your product something that is used in article books, right? Which is in high demand in a particular area because it's a mining town or whichever? Or is it something that's very, complex to use or even to understand, right? Again, I will give an example where certain mining products, we'd see people jumping from a mountain onto the truck, cut the tarpaulin, and throw parts out because these are OEM or original equipment manufacturer parts for a mining company, and then they're throwing it onto the road or onto a motorbike that is next by, kind of thing. So it doesn't really air, ocean. They take the same level of security. It largely depends. The pricing largely depends on certain factors of the product itself. Yeah, but then the calculation of how the premiums and all of that will take place, to a large extent, they're going to look at the systems that are put in place. So one wouldn't necessarily be more expensive than the other because it's air freight or it's ocean freight or it's express. Does that make sense? Okay.
My second question is, in most cases, these carriers can prove beyond possible doubt that they did due diligence before undertaking their job. So, which means on the field of negligence, they are safe. So, me being a small scale business owner that I've actually shipped my stuff to maybe outside Ghana, and there has been a situation of force majeure. How can I prove beyond possible doubt that this career that I contracted is actually guilty, so that I can actually get some claim from the SDR?
There's a combination of things here. For one, ideal that you do take if you think your product is at risk of being stolen or something in transit, that you do take that insurance, that marine insurance, to cover you. There's also the elements where, and you'd see it if you've ever any of you that have dealt with DHL before, you'll see that we like emails. We like a paper trail, right? You can agree on something on WhatsApp. Okay, great. Put it on email. It's a good thing. It's a good practice to actually incur in your imply. Don't make an agreement on a phone call. Don't yes, a WhatsApp is good and we're all good or whatever, but then have a system in place. Again, standardization, right? You'd be surprised the kind of things that the kind of agreements that people do, and it goes against them badly on on a phone call and be too trusting. And I think I've seen I've been around enough geographies and territories to see that word of mouth alone is not sufficient. Right? Do your own due diligence and do the work. Yeah. Okay, guys. Sorry, I'm going to jump on because. All right. Now, but I really like this engagement here. Very good. We're going to jump into contracts. I think. Oh, compliance. We're going to jump into the second part here. Contracts. Some of the basic contracts that you need to take into account when you are doing international trade. And when I'm talking about international, international means country A to country B. Not from Ghana, not from Accra to Wa or Kumasi. Right? There are a few more new regions. I'm not yet familiar, so please, that's why I'm using the cities. Sorry, he's just going to add a little bit more in terms of the insurance side for courier, the courier service, yeah?
All right, thank you, Max. Yeah, for the courier service, both parcels and documents could be insured. All right, so it's an optional service. It's not mandatory, but it's good if you know anything you are shipping that is of value to you, you insure. Anything you are shipping that is, let's say, value declared, the value declaration is below 1,000 USD, all right, then you pay a premium of $26, all right. So that means that should the shipment get damaged in transit or get lost in transit, we will be able to pay to you up to the tune of whatever you have declared as the value of the shipment. All right? Okay. Let me use this hand. The last time I went to some chiefs, I was talking, I was showing my plenty left. And someone came from the crowd to come and whisper to me in my ear, use your right. I say, hey. Okay, all right. So, anything you declare that you are shipping, you declare, and the value is $1,000 and above, then we charge you 1% of the value declared. All right? So that means that should the thing get damaged or lost, we pay you the tune of whatever you have declared. Okay? So that is it for parcels, parcels. Now, for documents, we call something, it's also insurance, call it whatever liability. Let me see. We call it extended liability. All right? So that is for document. So for that one, you know that you are passport, and passport, you know how valuable it is. So that you pay a premium of 76 Ghana cedis. That one, it's even in Ghana cedis. All right? So document get missing or whatever, then we will refund you an amount of 400 euro, all right, for the loss of that package. So that is how it is. So that's why I want to just add to whatever my colleagues have said in relation to insurance. So this is from the express point of view or the express division. Thank you for the attention.
Thanks a lot. And again, this is why it's fantastic that he's here, because he can tell you exactly the reality here in Ghana. I did mention he is one of the lead sales commercial guys. He's the area sales manager. I don't want to put the whole title, but then he knows these things because this is what is actually being applied in business today, right? In the Ghanaian business. So that's fantastic. Thanks for that. Okay. Coming to the area of international. So here we are talking about one country to another country, not one city to another city, right? And then there are we also things we're looking at like risk management. What kind of payment solutions you have in place, insurance coverage, and carriage of goods. And finally, contract documentation, the records, what records have been agreed on, right? So that's what we're referring to in terms of the documents of this nature. Now, I'm going to ask you a question, keeping these in mind. I'm going to ask you a question in terms of what exact document type types would come in mind from your side when you think about contracts and the related documents for international shipping? What kind of documents come into mind? Or names of documents, yes? Uh, Purchase order, PO, yes. Anyone else? Second? Export certificates, yes. Yeah. Certificate of analysis, especially for agro-based products. Yeah. Let's take two more, maybe. Standard boards certification. Oh, okay. All right. And then I think I just heard Chamber of Commerce, certificate of origin or CEO. Okay, perfect. All right, fantastic insights there, and I think you're all spot on. However, there are some other ones that I don't think anyone mentioned. Contract of sale, which is like your commercial invoice, right? Consigner, consignee, recipient kind of thing, right? Um, bill of lading, airway bill, oceanway bill, these things are, let me watch my language here, very important, okay? These are very important documents for you to have. To a large extent, these are also your contractual documents with the airline, the shipping line, and so on. Payment-related documents. So in some countries, we use letter of credits. I don't know if Ghana uses letter of credits. You don't, okay. In some countries, especially where they're importing products, Botswana, Angola comes to mind, they use a LOC, right? Sorry, letter of credits, LOC. And then any other insurance documents, policies, certificates, and so on coming to place. Exports for LOC, okay. Bank of Ghana. Is it okay? Sorry, okay, interesting. Okay, now, yes. So, the reason I'm laughing, we did some work on this, that's why. Yes, so these are some of the documents that you need for some of the basic contract that you want, right? Now, when I say basic, they're basic to the extent that there's other documents. These are not all, it's not a holistic view, but then there are certain documents, a shipper's letter of instruction, SLI, which for a freight forwarder for like us or a logistics company like us, it is the instruction you are giving us as to what to do with your shipments. So the SLI is saying that me, the business Maximilian Enterprise, is instructing you, DHL, to move this product to France, to the business of Exit Incorporated. And this is the description of the product, this is the weight, this is the commercial value, and. So these are all kind of documents that you have in place. Now, there are certain underlying things of these. So I'm going to give a couple of examples. Sales documents, like we mentioned, commercial invoices, right? A purchase order, I think someone mentioned purchase order at the back somewhere, yeah? A PO can sometimes act as not exactly the sales document, but it shows the interaction taking place. But then also your commercial invoice coming into play, right? There are also documents that are going, or categories of documents that are going in under the heading of the airline contracts. This includes your house airway bill, your ocean bill of lading, and so on, right? And in road, it's the CMR, which is like a roadway bill. And then you also do have those documents that you need for brokerage, which is going to be our afternoon session. Documents for customs purposes, right? This includes documents like I believe someone mentioned certificate of analysis, yeah, all these other documents. Sometimes they ask you for your import license or exports, that you are registered for exports and all that kind of stuff, right? So the reason it's classified in these elements is for you to understand that when you're shipping internationally, there are 3 buckets of documents you're looking at, right? And so just think of it in the sense that here are my documents that prove a sale has taken place, a commercial transaction has taken place between me and my buyer. Here are my set of documents with the logistics service provider, whether it's ocean, whether it's air, whether it's road. Here's my contracts with them. And finally, here's my agreements for whoever is doing the imports or exports, clearance or declarations on my behalf. Please note, sometimes, many times, you cannot do your own brokerage. Many times you cannot do your own brokerage. A lot of people tend to have that confused. You need a customs broker to do that for you, right? Say again? So freight forwarders, for DHL, for example, we are certified to do customs brokerages. We do our own meaning that the people that are doing the customs entry on your behalf, if we are doing a shipment, employees, full-time, 9 to 5, right? In some instances, there are freight forwarders that they will, what's that word we don't like again? Subcontracts, yes. Yeah. There are a lot of agents that out there that they actually subcontract. I say it's a word we don't like in DHL because we don't like doing that, right? And yeah, so there's a lot of parties in that sense, yeah. There we go. Please show your face. Yeah. So there are people that they actually, like when you think of a tariff book. I don't know if anyone has seen it. You remember the tariff books? Those, yeah, those mountain of, like it's all in their head. They can sleep and tell you what HS numbers, particular product. So yeah, so keep in mind the categories of your contracts that you should have in place, right? All right. Let's do a quick activity. And it's going to be the activity that has to do with the relevance of contracts. I just want to make sure that one of these ones, right? No, it's good. All right, so you guys are already broken up into your 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s, right? Or you switched back? Okay, so let's work with the 4, like find 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 of you here. And then on this row here, break yourselves into 2. Right, so you are one team here. And then another team there. And then down this way. Oh no, just so we can move here. Yeah. So you guys are one team to discuss certain things. From here, all this way, and the same way going back this way. Sorry, I'm really blind right now, so I can't really see if I'm pointing at someone. But then the same way, so just split into 2. So one team here, per each row, yeah? And what I really wanted you guys to discuss, again, especially within your business, is just contemplate and share amongst yourself. If you have all the contracts in place, do you have your commercial contracts and the shipments that you're doing? Do you have your transport contracts in place? Do you have your brokerage contracts in place? Right? Say again? Yeah. Yeah. So even that, share that experience, right? Because maybe someone else is not doing the exact same thing, right? So I'd want you to discuss it amongst yourself. Let's do that for 10 minutes. I know 15 minutes is there, but let's do it for 10 minutes. And then, yeah. Experiences you faced, yeah, lessons you could share with someone else.
chief. Hello? Yes, sir.
So no formal contract,
EDM, EDM. Ah, yeah, EDM. They send me notice. Where, no, Bello says anything. Black Bello says. Yeah, I think I also sent him email why he said he has switched. I think 30. I think he's saying we are not. What are finance people? What? Bello say they push security people to the top say they get since June or something. Yeah, no, the old people. Then they say them invoices from June 9. Bello to say talk. Yeah, say they no pay. This thing. And now if you procure person, they go follow them inside the case. So like the left problem. The guy he say reach out. I asked him who rich, but he no mind me. He said I get issues with the rate. So I think I remember also forwarded to you. I don't know. No, yeah, if me I do the tender select about the guy, then they work perfectly. I don't know. But you know after the if I hand over to the business, I don't get involved again. Yeah. Okay, sure. Okay, so one day you lost.
farmers which have no idea of how to produce vegetables. They give them the guideline, the technical advices, the support that they need to produce the vegetables for the export. Maflex Trust Ghana Limited is producing vegetables himself, and we also have small scale farmers which produce for Maflex for exportation. We also provide them with the inputs such as seeds, fertilizers, and technical advices. Our agronomists visit their farms to give
All
them
right.
training that they need, when
They,
and
they,
how
they
to
say it is
farm.
very rude to keep people away from their lunch. So
Other
let
small scale
me
farmers
bring it all
in our
together
farms,
now so I don't keep you here for too long again. Are we still together? The conversation is nice, eh? Okay. How was the conversation, guys? Going good? Very nice. I would encourage you to continue these conversations. And yeah, I actually joined the ladies in this side here. Had some very great insights also from them. So,
visit our website at www.maflextrustghana.com. You can also send us an email via
I think the last thing I'd want to probably point out here would be, again, just I'm going to take it back to this slide here and kind of try and sum it up the way I did with you guys earlier. The sales documents here is like all your commercial documents, right? The, no, my voice is not that good. The sales documents here are all your commercial documents, right? This includes your, your commercial invoice. So this includes all your commercial documents, right? Your commercial invoice, including even your insurance, your registered purchase order, in that sense, right? It doesn't necessarily, in some instances, commercial invoices sometimes are signed, right? But sometimes you could have an email, so going back to the email point, where you've put down the fact that, okay, Max Incorporated is exporting something to Lawrence Incorporated in the US. And here's the breakdown of what we're sending. We're exporting shea butter, and the shea butter is 500 kilos in 25 kilo packages. Each 25 kilo package is worth whatever amount in dollars, right? And then I send that by email to Lawrence, and Lawrence said, this looks good, confirmed. That is a signed commercial invoice. And so something goes south, here's your trail, right? But then that's sales documents. Now, in doing that, the next thing that you've done is, the next thing you want to do is, okay, good. Sale has been completed, let's get it moving. So you go and say, I need instruction to the shipping line, to a freight forwarder, to an airline, whichever. So you fill in the shipper's letter of instruction or shipping instruction. To a freight forwarder or logistics company like DHL, you're saying, hey, I am Max Incorporated. I'm shipping to Lawrence Incorporated in this country, and I'm moving shea butter products. This is a volume, this is a quantity, da 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 da. And then I want it to be picked up between now or these dates. And you see, especially if it's done online, you accept certain terms and conditions and everything. That's another contract with your freight forwarder or logistics service provider or something, right? Another contract that's popping up in here is like your bill of lading. Your bill of lading is your contract between, your airway bill is a contract between your business and the airline, right? Same way the, not MBL, I said airway bill, right? The bill of lading is your contract between you and the shipping line, stating that the shipping line is saying, oh yes, we've received some shipments to move 50 pieces of shea butter products to the US. Here's the reference number, here's the shipper, here's the consignee, here's the reference number. We received this instruction from somebody like DHL. And then you see that there's a golden thread, if I may call it, of reference numbers from the contract, commercial invoice contracts, to the shipping instruction to DHL, to the bill of lading instruction, all of that. Now you see that altogether, your airline contract, your logistics contract, transport contracts are all coming together. And then you have the brokerage side. Now you have a broker in the US that's saying, we received an instruction. In DHL side, it will be another DHL employee, so same system. But then again, there are various brokers. They'll say, I've received an instruction of these 50 pieces, here's the reference number, da 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 da. They do all of that. But the question is, who's doing it? Because they need a brokerage instruction from you or from whoever doing the import declaration. It could be from Lawrence Incorporated in the US, who gives him that instruction. But now again, to do that, he needs that reference number and the bill of lading. So now see that all the documents and reference numbers are all tying back up to those sales contracted documents, include especially the reference numbers. Yeah. And then of course, when final delivery takes place, Lawrence is like, yes, I got my shipment. If there's any dispute, you can go back into the trail of documents and find out where did the mishap happen. Cool? Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to hand over now to my colleague Morris, and we're going to talk about the fun part about compliance. Morris lives, eats, breathes compliance. Whilst he's not a compliance manager, his day job of managing procurement for all of Africa, DHL, yes. So.
Thank you very much, Max. I think that's too much hype. I try my best, but it's fine. Thank you very much for the conventions and the contracting. And that ushers us into compliance, a very key, let's say, sector when it comes to dealing with third parties or dealing outside your borders. Okay. This has caused a lot of companies to collapse, caused people in bigger, to fall, and cost people their jobs. So I entreat us to take compliance very serious in whatever we do. And please, if you don't understand anything, please ask and get clarity. If we can help you, we will take your contacts, seek help, and get back to you on whatever you require. Okay. So let's go to compliance, section 3. Max, can you please support me with them? Max? Yeah. We'll take a short video on what compliance is, and we'll take a debrief after that. Sorry, I'm not using our team system, so we always have to go offline and online. My apologies. I think it's the volume.
Let me stop sharing and reshare again. Good sound.
The sudden ouster of its foreign CEO has wiped out over a third of the company's market value.
Investigation has raised troubling questions
over
various incentives
and a huge money laundering.
and the decision has been made behind the scenes.
Another day, and another company in the press due to failure of compliance. With all the sanctions, regulations, and standards that have been introduced all over the globe, many organizations regard compliance as one of their key market challenges.
And this highly regulated business environment is constantly changing.
Most people believe that compliance is simply following the law. That's a bit too simple. In a business context, Companies want their employees to do far more, to behave ethically, to reflect on what they're doing. And then when you go into specific issues like safety regulations or fraud, money laundering or corruption, compliance actually started off probably with the financial sector. In the area of logistics, it had above all to do with new legislation coming in, like, for instance, the American Foreign Corrupt Practices Act or the OECD Convention driving similar legislation leading up, for instance, to the UK Bribery Act. One of the problems of companies is that they're confronted with an ever-increasing regulatory framework. And it is crucial that one is proactive. One sees the risks, one tries to combat them intelligently. Part of the story is that you have to encourage notification of suspicion. It's not just on a middle management level, but I would say every employee has the obligation to deal with risk. The scope of risk in a company obviously depends very much on what the company does. But if you take a logistics company, you have quite a broad scope, ranging from export and import controls, embargo issues, corruption topics, maybe money laundering. Internally, non-compliance can very seriously harm the career of employees. And I think rightly, companies do have to apply controls and ultimately sanction if something goes wrong. Just think of shareholders, stakeholders of any kind. For them, it matters that the company is perceived as a good company. And frankly, if you can assure your clients that you are a safe company, they will not run risks with you. You know, we've become quite used to see compliance as a form of risk management. Now, this is only part of the story. What lies ahead is to actually convince our clients that because we are compliant, we are good for them. They should actually deal with us. They should engage us because we're going to help them stay out of trouble. It's true that it's a competitive advantage to be compliant. That's why compliance ultimately pays.
The risks of non-compliance are all too real, as many companies have found to their cost. And as more incidents hit the headlines, so too comes more scrutiny from customers, investors, and officials, and sometimes more regulation.
So having a robust approach to compliance is a simple part of everyday business, and it comes with its benefits too. Being seen to take all reasonable steps to preventing issues is fast becoming a point of difference for companies, almost a leading advantage. It takes constant vigilance, and you've got to make it a part of everyday behavior, because the risks are ever present.
I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the video.
One moment.
I hope you enjoyed the video. Really? Okay. Then brings me to my question. What were your key takeaways from the video? What did you observe? What did you learn from the video? Anyone? Pass the mic to.
Okay, so my key note is compliance is cheaper, because when you don't comply, it will cost you dearly after. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, spot on. Meaning, if you get into trouble, you pay more than you were supposed to pay. if you were not compliant. So you end up increasing your cost of doing business. Yeah. Awesome. So customers willing to deal with compliant shippers or compliant business people gives you an upper hand over those who are not compliant. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Anyone else, please? Oh, you are just enjoying the video. Oh, come on. All right, thank you. I think they've said it all. They mentioned in the business that customers are becoming more compliant awareness. People don't want to associate themselves with partners who have compliance tax on them. For example, getting to hear you are involved in a corrupt issue, bribery issue. They do not like to trade with you. And as a lady here mentioned, if you get it in trouble, getting out of the trouble might cost you 2 or 3 times more what you should have paid. So at the end, your cost of doing business becomes higher. Thank you. Any question on that before we proceed? Okay, then based on that, let's look at what being compliant means. Thinking carefully about the decision and action you take every day. Okay, in the course of businesses, any step we take, whoever we deal with, any kind of transactions we deal, is something we should look at and ask ourselves whatever we are doing. Always follow the relevant international and national laws and regulations. Your country of trading, the customer you are sending the goods to. What are the proper way of doing things there? Do you like to cut corners to get your goods there? And what happens if you are caught? What happens if you're, now that we have everything linked to our thing, can you imagine? Can you imagine because of one customer, what it's going to cost you? Ensuring that there is no breach of external laws and regulations that we apply with internal policies, procedures, regulations, and guidelines, especially those who deal with the European Union. You all know kind of procedures they have. It can be mentioned simply, but when you are actually doing it, it doesn't appear that simple. Yeah. So at the end, summary of what all these things talking about is just what? Just doing the right thing. And doing the right thing also is very important by knowing the right thing. If you know the right thing, that's when you know you are doing the right thing. And we all know the maxim that ignorance of the law is no excuse. Thank you. So we look at some of the actions to ensure we are compliant. Okay? Be aware of the risks you face in the businesses you are dealing with, in the industry you are. As a SME, as a business owner, you should know the risk associated with the business you do. If you are into chocolate, if you are into edibles, let me use edibles in general. Yeah, no government of Ghana will not sit down for someone to bring their, let's say, poisonous or polluted products for its consumers or for its citizens to eat. At the end, he's going to incur more hospital bills, and what doctors should have invested their time in taking care of will be used to take care of another country's, how will I say, mispractice, and it will be costing him more. That's just an angle. No one would like to sit down for this to happen in their country. Equip yourself with the right tools to deal with any risk. So by knowing the risk is one thing, dealing with it is another. So I believe in your industry you are in, if you are going to identify the risk you find yourself in, because every industry has their own risk, comes with their own risk. Someone in perishable will be different from someone selling, let's say, cosmetics, different from someone saying selling beads, different from someone doing dressmaker. It all comes with their own risk. So identifying the risk in your industry is very important. And that will help you identify the tools you need to mitigate this risk. I appreciate the active role we, as the individual itself, play, or we all must play in mitigating the risks wherever it is identified. Okay? So it could be you, it could be your business partners. It could be the people you work with, your anyone who supplies you raw materials. You just need to identify anyone in that supply chain, okay, and the role they play in mitigating that risk for you to be successful. To be able to show that you took all reasonable steps to prevent a compliance failure. And when the lawyers get you in court, they'll let you understand what reasonable means. That you did everything possible, not even 99, but 100, to be able to ensure you avoided that. So by doing all this, what do we try to avoid or protect our business against? Financial damages, fines and penalties. Imagine your item gets to Europe or somewhere, then they get to realize there are some, let's say the Food and Drugs Board there finds out what you brought has some form of, now the popular distance is galamsey, lithium or something in there, and you are identified. You can imagine. You can imagine the sanctions they will put on your organization or your business entity, or even the nation is coming from. It can even affect, cannot only affect you, but it can affect the region in which you are in. Once it's identified, it means all things coming out from there will be double scrutinized. And because of you, look at what you've caused for your other counterparts. Reputational damage. I'm sure everyone will be happy, or everyone is glad when you receive a parcel in that yellow DHL box and you're opening it, and it's nice. It's all because of the reputation they've protected. It's very key. We put money on your reputation. People report it in their financial statement as a goodwill, because the moment you lose that reputation, that 20 years, that 30 years, that 40 years of building it, within a second, everything is gone. So you need to protect your reputation as if you are protecting your life, because that is the lifeline of your company. Criminal charges. When it comes to compliance issue, they don't go after the company alone. They come after the individuals. Don't think it will end with your business. It will never end with your business. They will lift the veil. It's a common thing in law. They will lift the veil and find who is behind the veil, and they will come for you too. So you can't hide that under your limited liability. No. It's not limited to anything in the company. Compliance, they will come for you. If you have jailable offense, they will jail you, or you can pay fines, or you can go for both. And when you come out, you have a record on you. No one would like to work with you again. So compliance is very key. Higher cost of doing business. As our lady mentioned earlier on, trying to cut corners, try to reduce costs. If something happens and you are caught, you might pay 2 or 3 times what you were supposed to pay to go through. And at the end, you are paying more than what you were supposed to pay. Now, the cost of delivering to your customer has gone high. If he's willing to pay, fine, he will pay. But tomorrow he will go for a cheaper option. If he's not willing to pay, it becomes a cost to you, which means you've lost revenue. And we all know how money is liquid to running a business. And even losing a customer, chances of getting that customer back alone is something different. Unfavorable media coverage. Hey, if the journalists get you, I think we all know this. They are eager to publish your bad news than good news that come from you. Exactly. So it's very important. And this also brings us to our reputation as well, the damage. Loss of business, as I mentioned. If your customer loses trust in you due to things like this, or due to high cost of doing business because you wanted to cut corners, hey, they might go for another option tomorrow. Okay, so it's very important we stick to compliance. An exclusion from shipping goods. You can be excluded from, like say, sometimes even your license or anything. And even the freight forwarder who is working for you might put that freight forwarder even in trouble. And tomorrow, no one would like to deal with you. So we move to enforcing compliance. How do countries, nations, try to enforce these kind of things, enforce compliance in dealing with people who ship products. Nations cannot produce 100% of what they have. Whatever happens, they need to bring things from other countries. And nations cannot consume 100% of what they are doing. Whatever happens, they need to take some out. So it's very important they also try to ensure they enforce compliance. And they enforce this through sanctions, embargoes, and deny restricted parties. So go deep into this. Just a minute, sorry. So to say, when we talk about sanctions, sanctions are economic restrictions that prohibit certain types of products, service, technology, and travel with regards to specific countries, governments, entities, or individuals due to the violation of what? International law. When we talk about sanctions. So it has to do more with countries and the service or the products that comes in and out as related to international laws. I think my colleague mentioned this when he talked about conventions. And that's what unions, countries, organizations use to protect themselves and their borders. When we come to embargo, an embargo talks about government order and restrictions on commerce with specific countries. So this has to do now more with countries, not on the goods itself again. Or the exchange of specific goods. It's designed to isolate a country and create difficulties for governing bodies. I think we've seen that recently in when the rest of EU and America wanted to punish Russia. They started going after their citizens in other countries who are doing businesses. Those who like football will know Chelsea. Yeah, they had to sell Chelsea because the owner was a Russian. So they try to embargoes. They use it as a way of making governments uncomfortable for you to give in to something. Yeah, and last but not the least, denied restricted parties. So this refers to persons, entities, or government with whom government or international organizations prevent us from conducting business with. So if you go to any freight forwarder and you want to send something to, let me use one country, for example, Iran, they might step back a little and ask you, they need to check and get back to you. Because countries like Iran has been listed in denied parties or sanctioned countries where the West has themselves and their alliance has been banned from dealing with them. So these are more like, so there's a list which could be a country, it could be an individual, where we are not allowed to trade with because of, it could be terrorism, it could be anything, but when you're on that list, we call it a blacklist. No one is supposed to deal with you. And if you are found dealing with that person, you are equally likely to be treated like that same person. So if you are found trading with someone in Iran, you might be listed as also blacklisted person and no one else will deal with you. You just be treated just like the person. Right? And you have financial penalties associated with that as well. It can go as far as even closing your business. Yeah. And even if you can't pay order, you can go for jail terms. So compliance is very important, not just for your business, but for you and individual as well. You have a question?
Hello. Okay, so with this compliance on the sanctions thing, having a country like Russia and Iran that they know the West is against them, and like most shipping companies like DHL, FedEx, and Co, they are all under the West. Now that Russia and Iran are also coming up with, if you've heard, the BRICS stuff, does it mean that they are also going to have their own shipment line, or Ghana, like DHL, only DHL can go there, but there are other shipping companies too that can go there, aside compliance?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. You mentioned some companies, you didn't only mention DHL, you mentioned FedEx. FedEx belongs to Americans. UPS belongs to Americans. And American is, will I say, the one behind everything. DHL is even in Germany, neighbors of Russia. So if it's a sanctioned country, it doesn't matter wherever the business is based. It doesn't matter whether it's FedEx Ghana, DHL Ghana. Once it's a sanctioned, which plane is going there? They are not even allowing your planes to land.
So now that Russia knows that DHL wouldn't come there, they are also trying to establish their own insurance and shipping companies like from the BRICS alliance. So which means business can go there.
So at the end, if you look at it critically, it's not really about business, but the existence of humanity. And you cannot take money over human life. So if you realize, okay, you want that? So if you realize everything that is going on, it started with humanity before business came in. Okay, and no one wants to associate themselves with people causing human lives. Okay. Max, I think you wanted to say something.
So a couple of these things, especially in denied parties and sanctions, right? Even in embargoes. Sorry, who asked the question? So I can. Okay. So some of these things are, Maurice mentioned it earlier, it's a way where national interest comes into play. If I like you, it's not necessarily because, okay, if I like you, it's not necessarily a factor of if you do something, I like you. So if you play according to my rules, I like you. I'll not do anything. But then I don't like you, right? So the people that impose the sanctions are state-owned states, governments, and so on like that, and they have national interests. Now, if you're a private actor, private business, you don't have any problem with whoever in, Kumbaya land, right? But then you have operations in the country that has imposed the sanctions. If you say, you don't like them, but me, I'm fine, business is business. So you do business with them. This is what will happen. The country in which you are running operations will penalize you. And that's why these things are very effective, because if you're doing if you're involved in international trade, it means that you are having operations in many places. So let me use an example. We used Iran as an example. See? Shell. Yes. Exactly. Because certain instances, as a small enterprise, let's say you have trade relations, just shipping chocolates to Iran, as an example. I'm just singling out Iran. And now you still want to trade with Iran, you're based in Ghana. You can. But the Ghanaian government will be like, hey, we are getting funding from the Americans, the EU, the that, my guy. We don't do that over here. You can say, oh, I'll continue. All of a sudden, you're not sleeping at night. You get it? So keep in mind, a lot of these things are, what's that common word in Ghana now? Power from above or something.
Thank you very much. I think it was well explained, yeah. Because it doesn't even only affect you, it affects all your allied countries. And you know how the West, excluding Russia and America, are very powerful when it comes to that. And the most powerful companies in the world belong to them. So it all captures all of us. Unfortunately, we are not that powerful. Maybe we'll get there. So all these three we mentioned is looking at general compliance. So we want to deep dive and look at specifics, which will take us to anti-bribery and corruption compliance, customs compliance, and competition compliance. So we take anti-bribery first, the importance of anti-bribery and corruption compliance. These are several areas where we should focus on. Our focus area should be on ethical behavior of subcontractors and business partners. As Max mentioned, if you know you can't manage your subcontractors, don't even go into it. That's why sometimes Max mentioned that DHL doesn't like going for subcontractors because once you start working with that subcontractor, they become your responsibility as well. And if they do something bad, it affects you. Yeah. So if you want to deal with subcontractors, please ensure you are dealing with the right subcontractor. Do your background checks. Do everything to ensure that you are dealing with the right person. Yeah. You can do all your hard work, but that subcontractor could cost you your business. Okay. Your business partners. Okay. If you want to ship your stuff, look for a compliant logistics provider so that tomorrow when you have issues and they realize, oh, it was a compliant logistics provider, I don't think issues will not even come up because at the void administration from the beginning, they ensured you did the right thing, you had the right documentation, it was going to the right country, you paid your right taxes, you paid everything, and you are good to go. Anti-bribery and corruption commercials, sales and customers and operations, government officials and suppliers. So, issue with bribery and corruption. I think we are all looking at government officials and suppliers. That's where we have the concentration on. Yeah, it's a headache for everyone when it comes to government officials. But we are working on it. And we hope it's in the pipeline. And we'll get there. Customs handling. With the issue of bribery and corruption. So we're also working on that. And we'll get there. When it comes to gifts, hospitality, and sponsorship, sometimes gifts can be a form of bribery, depending on how you give it out. Okay? Probably you can see it as a harmless gift, but someone can also see it as not a harmless gift, and that can go a long way to harm your business. Hospitality. Yeah, you could have taken that person out for a cup of coffee beside the street, but you decided to take the person to coffee at Moving Pig. It's the same cup of coffee, but under different circumstances. Sponsorship. Why is the person sponsoring just you? Are you the only one doing something good? So these are other things aside money that can be used, that can fit into anti-corruption. We are looking at ways how we can manage this. To ensure compliance is, before mentioned areas, you need to act and take responsibility. It's your business, it's your activity. Please take responsibility of it. No one will do it for you. When you fall alone. Okay? You built your business, it was your sweat, so you need to take responsibility. Unless you lose everything. And you know how quick going down is than going up. So please, commit to behaving with integrity. Integrity is key in everything. Without integrity, you are nothing. Without integrity, if you are buying food or you are even looking into it and see whether they are giving you food or you are giving you water. Okay, without integrity, even if you go to the restaurant, you want to go to the kitchen and check what they are giving to you. Where will humanity be without integrity? Be compliant with all applicable laws and regulations. You know the industry you are in. You know the laws related to industry. If you are dealing with perishables, mangoes, pineapples, you know when to deal with food and that's what you know when to deal with agric ministry. You know all those things when they are supposed to come to your farms. You know when you are supposed to take it there. You know how long it's going to your destination, and you should plan according to that. Because you know the rules and regulations related. You know all the certificates you need and all that. Sorry if I'm going to fight. Is there any question? Or you can proceed. Okay, thank you. So we look at custom compliance as our second. We just sit back and ask ourselves this question. Why is customs compliance relevant to you in the businesses we do, in our activities? Why are we here today to learn about custom compliance? How is it relevant in the business we are doing? Anyone? Okay, please, you can't be quiet too. Yeah. You lose your business, you lose your money, you disappoint your customer. Thank you. Go again, please. Everything flows into our country. Every garbage, what people don't want in their countries will come to your country. The reverse is also true. What we don't like in our country, we take to other people's country. Thank you. So, customs compliance is a core element of the international trade landscape. Logistics providers are committed towards compliant trade. Logistics providers rely upon the completeness and correctness of all documentation and information provided. Shipment data and documentation must be compliant with applicable laws and regulations. The country you are sending from, the country you are taking it to, all have laws, everyone has regulations, everyone has their own documentation. We need to comply by that. Any question here, please? Before we proceed. Okay, thank you. So there are 4 non-compliant risk areas that must be avoided when shipping and that customs tend to focus on. Anytime you are taking things outside Ghana, exports per se, there are 4 areas that customs have critical look at. And we are going to go through them here. And if you have any questions, I have my guys on board. If I can't answer, they can support you. If they can, we'll get the information for you and get back to you. We look at undervaluation. I think we mentioned that earlier on when people are sending parcel and trying to avoid paying high insurance cost or anything, they kind of undervalue it. And tomorrow something happens to the shipment. Do not declare $5 for a cell phone that is sold $300. When someone sees this, an iPhone 16 and sees $30, like it's outright, it speaks for itself. You're undervaluing it. And customs look at it very well when it comes to the value of your product. Okay. And they have a way of checking the market price. So please do your due diligence and use your right value. It's not always about the cost it will bring to you, but also how you recover it in case something happens. Intellectual property rights. Okay. This is an intangible product, and you can be fined for it. Do not ship fake phones. Adidas is not done in Ghana. Don't export Adidas. It is not for you. Please. Kente is done in Ghana. You can export Kente. Okay, but Adidas is not done in Ghana, please. Don't fix your own Adidas and export it. Okay, it's someone's hard work. Someone worked hard for that. So work hard for your own trademark and ship it outside. True shipper and receiver. I think you mentioned the consignee and consigner, yeah. Do not declare Benny. Because your friends call you Benny. So you put it on your commercial invoice. What is Benny? Which ID card carries Benny? So please put in your correct name. Goods description. As much as possible, we all know the goods we have. We all know what we are doing, what we are exporting. As much as possible, you should be able to describe or give an identification of the goods you are shipping. It makes the work easier for the freight forwarder and easier for the customs authorities. Okay, you describe something else, they open and find something else. The moment someone needs to be called to come and explain and documentation doesn't show, it's a red flag. Because the document should speak for itself. The moment we need another person to come and speak for it, then there is a red flag. And that is when, if someone wants to take you through a longer process, it makes it easier for them. Then people want to cut corners because you could have done the right thing and avoided that, but they didn't. So these are the 4 things we can manage in the custom processes to be compliant. Any questions here, please, before I Any question? Okay. Thank you.
My question is, why is it that oftentimes we mostly get to feel or test this compliance needs when, let's say, the goods get missing or maybe there is an issue?
That is order for, or
This is smooth.
okay, let's go to undervaluation. Yeah. Let's say you are exporting something to Ghana. A customer officer might pick this mouse, and the commercial invoice is $10. And he might, in his professional knowledge, $10 is fair and allow it to go. Tomorrow, another customer officer might come and say, no, this is $100 on the market, so we will not allow this to go. Okay. That instant that thing is held, one, you are even delaying the delivery to your supplier. And two, meaning you did an undervaluation. So now they are going to impound it for you to come and do other processes. In that same instance, if you knew the real value and you knew you were supposed to do additional processes, you would have informed your freight forwarders and they would have been prepared for that. The more you are keeping it there, you are accumulating demorages and all that, and you're adding extra cost to your job. Okay. So, as you said, it's when an issue comes that accountability comes in. So why do you have to get there? I know if you are getting. If it's iPhone 16, it's iPhone 16. Why do you put it in an iPhone 14 box and thinking, in case the customer officer doesn't open it?
Yeah. And also the description, especially the description aspect.
And that's the main part.
That you have to follow, like a step by step. Most of the carrier or the shipping agency will let you follow to make sure you properly describe your item. Because oftentimes when they get missing, that's when you see, so what is the color of your package? What was this? Who? Like a whole lot of questions.
I think that's the main key for the HS code, right? Because it counts of box, the description of every item. Okay. So I think even most of the time you leave most of the things for the freight forwarders. Taking the previous side telling us to take ownership is also key. Before you even send it, it's your business. You know where it sits. So if the freight forwarder is saying something different, because you know your business and you know where it sits, and the code given to it per the country is going, you can also challenge the person. Probably you might also be wrong, but it's through that challenge that you get to know the right thing. Okay. So I think for the description, it's even though the honest lies on the forwarder, it also lies on you as well because it's your product and you need to take ownership. At the end, you suffer nothing. Okay. Maybe he might lose one or two business, but that is your business. And if it might be your livelihood. Thank you. Anyone else? Please. Undervaluation.
Gives me a car from outside, so I'm importing it back to Ghana. And he bought it like 5 years ago. So let's say he bought the car for $2,000. But as at now, we know that the current
the market value.
The market value has increased. So when I am importing it, and you ask me, how much did I buy the car? First of all, it's a gift. Mm-hmm. Okay. And secondly, if I try to use the amount that my friend gave me, am I devaluing undervaluing the price? Because if you take the current rate and you say it's high, am I undervaluing?
But before I allow, okay, I think we are coming. But that is the value. It's not what your friend gave it to you. It's the value.
Okay. Thank you very much. So I heard your question. Yes. In as much as your friend bought it at $2,000, that is not how custom duties are calculated. When it comes to vehicles, what happens is they look at the going price as at the time you imported the car. Then they will look at the age, and then they will devalue it. It does not matter how much you bought it. Like I'm saying, it could even be a gift, but gifts in Ghana are dutable. Gifts are not free. Okay? So anybody could gift you whatever, but if it's of a commercial value, they will ask that you pay duty. Do you have any other question? Okay.
I have a question, but not on this very one.
Okay.
Yes, and I don't think it falls under any of them. So I'm asking, when it comes to compliance, sometimes as a business, maybe someone is traveling outside the country, and then you give them some quantity of your products to take it outside to go and sell it there. Is that non-compliance?
So that's a sample, right? So hand luggage. Yeah. But if you get to airport, they announce it. Declare, declare, declare. Did you declare? So as he said, so Yanchewa, you are gone. But the moment you have to come, yeah. For that. Yeah, exactly that. I think you're way ahead of your time. Thank you very much. So the question we ask ourselves, are you compliant? So let's challenge ourselves with these questions. Is your action or decision legal? That's the first question you ask yourself. Can you go to court if someone duped you for cocaine? No, he has duped you. He has done, it's against, but is the action legal? What's the legality of the item? But you've been duped, you've been frauded, and you are seeking for redress. But the question is the action legal? You want to export, you want to export. What do you want to export? Is it legal? Those are the questions we ask ourselves. Does it comply with the values and policies, with your values and policies? As an organization, do you have your values? Do you have your culture? Okay. It's excellent in your values. It's delighting the customer in your values. Did it carve your culture? Did it carve your policies? If that is it, are you complying with that? That's the question you should ask yourself. Is it right and free from any personal conflict of interest? Conflict of interest. I hope you all understand what conflict of interest is. Is it right and is it free from any personal conflict of interest? Question we should ask ourselves. Could your action or decision withstand public scrutiny? How will it look if it appears on the newspaper? Okay. You will not be there we don't need you to come and explain. Probably it's the right thing. Okay. That is if you are allowed to come and explain. But in this case, you are not there to explain. So how does it appear? Okay. So we should ask ourselves, how does the action appear in the newspaper? The moment you seeing this about someone doesn't appear well for you, then it's the same way it appears for you, and another person might also not see it well. But you might not be there to explain, as I said. Probably you didn't do anything bad, but will you be there to explain to the 30 million Ghanaians? No. What will it take? What will it look like in a newspaper? Okay, I think it even explains it. That's public scrutiny. Yeah, we're scrutinizing you by the newspaper and the news and all that. But by TV3 in the morning, you're already being toasted. Yeah. Will your action or decision protect your company's reputation as a company with high ethical standard? Told you how long it takes for you to build reputation and how quick it is for you to lose it. So the action you are taking, you need to ask yourself, the decision that you are making, how is it going to affect your reputation? Is your business built around reputation? If it's built around reputation, it means when you lose that, you lose your business. And people don't care. But probably your business is built around reputation. If something happens to your reputation, adversely it affects your business. So you need to ask yourself these questions. Do you have any question on these questions? Please, feel free, ask it here. If you can't get solution for you, we seek additional solution for you. We ensure it reaches you. Please. look at the questions and look at your day-to-day activities, your businesses. Do you need any further explanation on this? Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. So, we have an activity to apply your conscience, and my colleague has shared this with you already. Yeah. Just the first part, yeah. So, this is not a group work, please. So I'll just use a minute to read it out for us. A very good friend of yours who is also fairly highly placed, custom officer in your country, offers you to spend a long weekend with your family at his beautiful seaside chalet, including all the perks that belong to such a stay. This is totally up your alley. So you sorry. So these are your options. Say that you consider the offer and discuss with your family first, but your family might agree with it's just like that. Kindly deny the offer, as you know you are dependent on customs for your international trade and exports. Accept the offer immediately, as human as we are. It is a good friend, after all, and therefore can be trusted. On top of that, this is such a nice gift for your family. So we cast our mind back to all the things we learned in this section and answer as if no one is watching. Don't answer as if someone is watching. What would you have done? There's a saying that we are the rollers when we are alone. No, just this one. Just the top one. Just the first one. Yes, please. This shouldn't take much, please. Much time. Come again. Please. So where did you take? C. Okay, we have one answer here. C. What did you? No, just we look. You not collect it, right? You want to take it because we have other things in it. Yeah, but I want to know your answers first. B. Okay. Anyone else? B. Okay. And Madam here has C. I think you are the only C. You have A. Awesome. My friend at the top. C. Oh, okay. Interesting. B. So you have an answer and an original answer. We have an answer and an original answer from a friend at the back. Okay, so let's see what the slides. Let's see what the answer is. It's B. You kindly deny the offer as you. Just look at the questions again, please. Is the action legal? It's legal. Let's come here. How will it appear in the newspaper? I'm not coming to call you to come and explain it. That's what I'm saying. If you will be there to explain it, fine. But you can't explain to 30 million Ghanaians. And you are into that business. I'm even coming there. Do you have an interest in the action, the answer you took? Oh, I gave you the answer. That is even the biggest conflict of interest. This one is even different. Yes. Thank you. But you are explaining it to me. Engage in a business that involves export. Yeah. No, I'm saying so. When it gets to there's a conflict of interest. No, you are looking at. No, let's come to this. Okay.
Hello? Okay. So just a quick one, yeah? It's you recall that in the last I think slide before this or last two slides, there's an element there that speaks about conflict of interest. Now, in Maurice explained, I think, to you that when this, yes, he's your brother. He's a very good friend. There's no ill intent. But now you're talking of compliance. Now it's on Daily Graphic, front page. Max and his brother Maurice go and spend the weekend away in, give me a resort in Ghana. Blue? Huh? Royal Century. Okay, good. With their families and everything. Nice. Last week, Max imported 500 cars, right, into the country. No, wait. So, hold on. Wait. Keep in mind, just hear it out. Everything could have been done right. The duty could have been paid, everything, but would it survive public scrutiny? You understand? So, more often than not, there may be an incident where everything is fine and legit and good. However, would the 30 million Ghanaians say that's the same? Do they understand really what happened, that you actually paid your duty, end? So in that sense, look at it from that lens. Because your company may be down and done and dusted, and yet you did nothing wrong. You understand?
And you'll not be there to explain it, as I said. And that was what has made the Americans and the Europe tough. And that's why they are striving. But is it the right thing? We should ask ourselves whether it's the right thing.
So I think we all realize that this can be quite tricky, right? The essence of this activity is that you think things through before you take a decision. Okay, it can be as like the examples you gave. You may have paid all your duties, may have done everything right, and when you go to those questions, actually, I think it should be like a laminated thing on your desk. Each time you need to take a decision, so you go through all that. Is it 6 questions? And then you see how many of them ticks right. And then something like, can you run it by your team? Because some of these things, it's not just you, the business owner. It might be someone in your warehouse who has gotten this offer so that maybe he can be swerving shipments to, so think of it that way. So that's where sometimes when you come for these trainings, it's also good to let it trickle down to your team, because you can be doing the right things at the top. But if those down are going by this route, you can imagine what will happen. So it's just to let you think through when such you come to such decisions.
Thank you very much, Henry, for that. And don't think large organizations are the only people who are prone to compliance issues. Okay, the same skill that they are on, other things being equal, that your small organization will also face the same skill. And you are growing, and if you don't curtail it at that point, it grows with you. Thank you. So we go to the second one. That's the one below it. You have an offer to import 2 pallets of Gucci bags and sunglasses, since it's very expensive but still quite far below the regular normal market value. Hence, it offers a great business opportunity. This can be resold with good profit margins. So, see it indeed as a great opportunity, business opportunity, and yes, you can use the profit that it brings to invest in your business. You place the order, or have doubt to make sure you make no mistakes. You order just 3 bags and 2 sunglasses as a test to see if it's all legitimate, or wonder why the price is so far below the market price and decide to further investigate to ensure that these are not counterfeit products. Are we all in agreement? All right, you see. No challenge. All right. Thank you. So, these are key reminders we take away on this topic. You are responsible for the authenticity, accuracy, completeness, and timeliness of all information, documents, and shipments. That is you. Take responsibility. Precise goods description, accurate goods value, and true shipper and receiver. As a business owner, as an SME, trying to do business outside your borders. These are the things you should look at. Shipping counterfeit stroke pirated products in breach of intellectual property rights is prohibited and illegal. We don't produce Adidas in Ghana. Please do not export Adidas. We don't produce Puma. It is not for us. If you do it in your room and you try to export and you are caught, your logistics provider may inspect documents or the goods being shipped. So ensure that what you decided is what you are sending out. Okay. And the consequence of non-compliance are tangible and severe. As I mentioned earlier on, it doesn't stop with the organization. They will come for you. They will lift the veil and come for the owners behind it. And that is you. And sometimes it's jail, fine, or both. Question, please. FDA will get you. Where Standard Boss gets you. You say it's Ghanaian, so it doesn't matter. Okay, please.
There's something I think there's something I have noticed that is happening nationally. I use one particular clinic over here in Ghana. When I went to US, my sister is also using it, but the content is different from what I have seen here, what I have been buying. The same brand.
So my friend is doing it.
It's like the importers, they go in because it's African, they go in for cheaper ones, or I don't know. The same brand. The content is different in America, and the content is also different from the one I'm using.
Yes. So that is why at our borders we have. So it's the standards, the policy that the country has, and how rigid. That is why when your brother takes you to the island to go and enjoy. He'll be soft with you and allow that cream and you use it. Then you're comparing with your sister because her country didn't allow the custom officer to take the brother out. You see the snowball effect. You thought it was okay, but now you are complaining about the effect. Because it's far from you, that's why it is. But now it's closer to you. So you see why all our authorities, including you, the importer, yeah. If you are that's why they mentioned about the customs was very important. If you there is there to ensure as my colleague said, you don't bring garbage into the country. So if you don't follow all these things and conflict of interest, bribery, and corruption affect it, it lifts the veil and everything comes through. That's why your Coke might taste different from your sister's Coke. Thank you very much. I think this topic has brought a lot of questions. Okay. So, as related to what we are doing here, everything related, whatever we are doing here is really related to the laws of Ghana. Okay? So, no one will take you to jail for morality. There's no law in Ghana that says when you sleep with someone's wife, you should go to jail. It's a moral decision. It's not a legal decision. No, that is a moral decision. We have a customary. It's just an example. Don't draw us back. I'm just saying, whatever we are discussing here is related to Ghana laws, guidelines, policies. If you think you are doing a fake cream, that might hurt your brother. You don't know who will buy that cream. Tomorrow it will be your brother. It's your moral decision. Okay? But also has a legal implication. Because if FDA catches you, you are in trouble. Yeah. So for that part, you have the two playing there. But whatever we are doing here is related to Ghana laws. So it's illegal. Thank you. But the moral is up to you, though. Another question. Thank you. It takes a long time to build it. And just one action will kill it. Then that's why you see the big companies in the moment something happens. Like I think in the past something happened about Nido product or something. Immediately Nestle came out to make an announcement because the reputation damage, they can't handle it. Exactly. Because the reputation is your business. If it dies, your business dies. So we go to competition compliance. I think it's a common household name. Competition, okay, this is distinguished between four risk areas. But let me say a little about competition compliance. So these are kind of laws or rules put in place to ensure customers or end users are getting value for money or fair, how will I say it, fair products or services priced by suppliers. Okay, so it's put in place so that people will not abuse the market. Okay, to put in place so that, let me use layman's, so that water manufacturing companies will not exploit Ghanaians. Let's all put it to 20 cedis, and they will have no option than to buy. That is an example. So laws and conventions are put in place to ensure customers are not exploited. Okay. And the focus area here, we are going to look at cartels, abuse of dominant market position, as I said, information exchange, and gun jumping. I think that Max can say a lot about gun jumping. Managing competition compliance. So engaging anti-competitive behavior. Okay, this forms part of competition compliance. So if you want to quash competition, that is when people form groups and cartels to ensure they standardize their price along and you have no other person to go to. So it means whatever happens, you buy it at that price. You have no option. That is a big crime. So in our business dealings, it's something, don't think it happens to only large organizations. Okay? You might get there one day. And you know, even your small organization, it can happen to you. Show interest in too good to be true situation as a Gucci bag, and that realize this is too good to be true. Okay. Share information with competitors. That is, how will I say it? Can I have data protection, right? We have it, but we don't implement it. So sharing information, it is okay. Once that you are not caught by the law, you might think in Ghana the last time. Yeah. Yeah, I think when you are caught by the law, you realize that the law is there. It's in the bosom of the judge when you are standing there. Yeah, sharing information with competitors. That's such information can also lead to price tagging and all that, so that they get to know what is happening at the other end, and customers are kind of, fraud is a hard word, but I will call it fraud because that's what you are doing to them. So the counter this is to recognize the relevance of competition compliance. Okay, competition law, value sustainability of compliant business practice. If you know compliant business practices, you should know some things are too good to be true. That I'll take your shipment to US within 6 hours and you don't pay duty. Like when they start going that way, you should know. Promote competition compliance and live by example. That is the only way end users are able to get the best price at the highest quality at the most competitive price. Okay. The only way you ensure you are getting the best water is leaving the market to determine its prices. If your quality is not good, you will not buy. If your quality is good and your price is too much, you will go to another person. Leave the forces of demand and supply to determine that. Don't interrupt with it. Unless at the end users will not be able to get that good quality at the most competitive price. We still have our papers, right? Let's go for it. Okay, so I should wrap it. Okay, sure. So that we stop using it. Okay, so let's go to the first question. What does compliance mean? A, thinking carefully about the decision and action you take every day. Always following the relevant international and national laws and regulations, and ensuring there is no breach of external laws and regulations. That we comply with internal policies, processes, rules, and guidelines. Let me give you a gist here. At the top, you can see more than one correct answer. Yes, you have BNC. My friend at the back. What do you think? Could be more than one answer. BNC. ABC. ABC. But I really want to say BNC. You stand or you will not go with the crowd. You to BNC. You to BNC. Okay, you have to. You stood by a gun. You have to. Okay. Let's see what the answer is. Yeah. Sorry. All the answers are correct. You think carefully about the decision and action you are taking every day. Remember we mentioned about it. Think carefully. Always follow the relevant international, going out, national laws and regulations. Ensuring that there is no breach of external laws wherever you are taking your shipments to. And that we comply with internal policies, that's Ghana, processing of our shipment, and rules and regulations. If you need FDA permit, please get it. If you need inspection, please do it. If you need to spray, please spray it. Package it well, package it well. Okay, let's go to our second question. How can you ensure custom compliance? A, declaring a lower value. Hey, you don't want me to say it. Are we all in agreement? Yes, you are right. Congratulations. And Max, I'll leave you for the closure.
Thanks, everyone. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching the session. Thanks for facilitating it. So it's time to eat. I know lunch is late. According to my watch, it's 5 p.m. But then, so because we started a little bit late, we are about 1 hour behind schedule. So we are asking if you can have lunch within 30 minutes. And then we do the last session for the day. Sure. The last session for the day is the part I like a lot. Was it? So can I say, Yabre? Osa. Yo. So, the last session or module for today is going to be navigating customs. And I think someone asked a question about customs somewhere. I've forgotten, but someone asked a question about to declare or not to declare. And that's exactly where we're going with. So we are going to go, knee deep into customs regulation and so on. Cool. So we're going to have lunch now. It is 3 p.m. It is 3 p.m. So if we could be back by 3:30, please. We are eating on the 10th floor, on the 10th floor, where we got the snacks from. Cool? Fantabulous. I'm leaving again. You are still in South Africa. No, we will tell people 5 o'clock. They do say, but I'm moving back again. You are moving back. No.